It's a winner-take-all scenario. Whoever invents a general AI is going to win the world, basically, and that could happen very soon.
Holy shit. We're like really close to it, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, if you're
they theorize 30 to 50 years, but
it depends who you ask, and that's incredibly soon, even if it's that, which is in some cases a conservative estimate.
We're still hardware limited, though. That's the big problem. Like, the whole idea of it spiraling out of control with our current hardware isn't feasible.
Well, how is it hardware limited?
How is it hardware limited?
Because of the
cost efficient.
Well, partially.
Well, you go on. You can explain it better.
Oh, I was going to say partially because of cost and everything, but no. If you talk about worldwide spread, then you're no longer talking about cost. It can get anywhere.
Wait, hold on. No, you said it was hardware limited. How is it hardware limited?
You realize how much processing an AI has to do before it can actually become a true soft AI, right?
I mean, I'm kind of like a true soft AI, and I don't need like millions and millions of energies of processing, no?
Well, you have millions and millions. I don't know the exact number, but you have neurons, don't you?
Sure,
exactly.
But I mean, our CPU, you're telling me that the biggest... I have more processing power on my brain than the most complicated, powerful thing in the world?
I think it's... I've always heard it's a software problem, not a hardware one.
Well, then why did you just agree earlier with him when he said it was hardware limited? And now you're telling me it's software limited. That's what I thought it was.
The whole spiraling out of control is hardware limited. With our technology now, yes, you could do it, but it wouldn't spiral out of control in an instant, such as people theorize.
He was explaining earlier about quantum computers. And
quantum computing is the parallel
that one is
processes,
true,
basically.
But basically, he was saying how quantum computers, they fire on, what is it called again? Like, it's basically an infinite number of the connections, but
you could argue they're equivalent of threads.
But it's only 40% accuracy because of the fact that they don't connect like a normal computer does.
Well, quantum computing I'm not sure the exact number currently, but I know for a while there, the current accuracy of an actual bit received to bit transmitted was only about 30-40%.
Right. But anyways, listen,
I can
Destiny,
double check that.
You should, I don't know if you've heard, I mean, look, the fact that Stephen Hawking, the fact that Bill Gates, Elon Musk. I mean, there's so many people who are experts and just in the field itself.
Elon Musk is an expert in AI now. Bill Gates is an expert in AI now.
Okay, fine. I can cite there are experts in the field as well, but they're just lesser known people like Stuart Russ. I mean, these are people who work in the field and are talking extensively about how this is an imminent threat. I mean, not tomorrow it's going to be a threat, but in the coming near future,
30 to 50 years, maybe.
Well, here's the thing. Consider this. This is a problem that has incredibly far-reaching implications. So in other words, a general AI has incredible power, incredible implications of which we've never seen before. It's a winner-take-all scenario if you develop it. And so this is a problem that we don't know how far off it is, but more importantly, we don't know how long it would take us to tackle that problem. For all we know, this is a problem that could take 10 years of the right people really focusing on it, and all we have is 15 or 20 years as an example. So it's something where we're really on the clock about it.
So you think that one day somebody's just going to flip a switch and we're magically going to come up with some AI that's going to be ready to take over the world? It's not going to be like a progression.
No, that's the whole argument of processing. The reason we theorize it will take 30 to 50 years is because of the fact by the time it takes that many iterations for the AI to execute, that's the hardware limit. If we had a computer that could do infinite amount of parallel processes today, who knows, that could be 5 years from now then.
Wait, what is infinite amount of parallel processes? When are we ever getting these computers?
But no, that's the argument. That's the hardware limit. If we had something that allowed us to do so many parallel processes, we could cut the time span between us having a hard AI today to us having a soft AI tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I was always under the implication...
buy a PC that runs like Crysis.
I thought that we were... First of all, I'm pretty sure quantum computers only give you an order of magnitude more processing power. It's not infinitely
today's quantum computers are trash.
So, secondly, I thought that typically when we're speaking about AIs, these are problems with algorithms. These aren't problems with raw processing power. I'm pretty sure we can make a computer that is has the infinitely more processing power than any individual human brain. I'm pretty sure we have them right now in our homes, but It's a
yeah.
matter
I
of-
think Destiny's right.
It's a matter
It's
of
about
It's a mix
algorithm.
of
We
the
haven't
two.
developed.
They say actually they say that IBM Watson's at its current rate will become a soft AI in the 30, 50-year time span.
I'm pretty skeptical of anything that's trying to predict tech out even past 15 years.
Yeah. Oh,
It's really
be very
hard to do.
skeptical. About
Right.
it.
It's hard to do. Yeah. But that's the point.
Like we don't understand
we don't
enough
even know.
about AI to actually be able to give a definite answer.
Okay, so this
But-
sounds like a
but-
problem that I shouldn't be extremely concerned about right now. Then
You should be.
No. Not
But
at all.
doesn't that just give credence to the idea that in 10 to 15 years we could have some type of technological breakthrough that could get us to
Yeah.
a soft AI
So
level?
I could
Right,
be wrong, but
exactly.
I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert. But I've never heard of any massive breakthrough in AI. It seems like it's a lot of grueling work on many iterations over and over again of slowly improving different learning techniques in order to make
course.
general AIs better. So I don't think there's ever going to be a time where we go from having a computer that's really good at chess to, oh my god, it's trying to fire all the nukes and take over the world
Well-
because it's self-identified that in its best interest
Hold
it needs
on,
to
okay.
eliminate humans.
Wait,
Like
wait,
that
wait.
seems like a
Stop.
huge slippery slope.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
Let
that-
me-
it's
let
a
me
huge-
Can I
give a
add my
response.
quick few cents in real quick?
Yeah.
So the way you're saying that, would it be described as the old space race with the Cold War? Because now we're just doing it for the AI now, and if anyone reaches that AI, do they have the potential to do that? A war game scenario.
What? I don't even know what.
War game scenario, which is what you just said, which is launching all the nukes towards each other and all that shit.
Yeah, that's what it makes it sound like, you guys. That's where
Okay.
like, the AI is going to get
Like,
there, like magically, real quick.
Yeah,
the
honestly,
thing
it's just fear mongering because
I don't-
this is where I was saying AI is not going to spiral out of control in the fashion the media wants you to believe.
Wait, but that's what
The amount
Blank's
of
whole point of the
processing it takes
conversation
to even
was.
do a calculation for AI is absurd. Like,
Well-
you're not going to have AI hop onto your smartphone and suddenly be able to control your vehicle or anything like that in the fashion
well, that's
that
a
the
separate
media
argument.
makes it
I
out
mean,
to be.
No one's making that argument, but
Yeah.
the point I'm saying is that when you get to a general AI, all bets are off the table. I think that's pretty well established. Like
What do you,
that,
we
will
already
certainly-
have like general learning AIs. I don't know
No.
what you.
A general AI is in a self-improving AI that is
Yeah, that's
able
how we
to-
did. Isn't that how we taught the current AIs? The Google DeepMind or whatever. Isn't that like
Yeah,
a general AI?
Watson,
You give
very
it a task and then you don't tell it how to complete it, and then it iterates like a process to get there in the most efficient way possible. Isn't that like the definition
Yeah,
of a
Link,
general
that's
AI?
where I was
They
saying
can't-
earlier.
they
Like,
can't
Watson's
rewrite their
a prime
source
example.
code.
DeepMind is
What do you
prime
talk- what do you
example.
mean?
They're
Rewrite
creating
this-
like different versions of
Wait,
stuff, right?
we can't rewrite our source code. What do you? I don't understand what you mean.
I didn't say we could.
What is it? What does rewriting your source code have to do with anything?
We don't have a source code. I
are you
mean, we're
talking
not.
about?
Yeah, but why
We're
would
not-
why would an AI need to be able to rewrite its source code?
I mean, DNA could be your source code.
But we're not
Because
rewriting
it's
that
source
either.
code, so it's limiting its capabilities. And what I'm saying is a general AI is something where it is proficient in a multitude of different fields, not just one specialized task like Watson is, for example.
What are we going to do? Have Akinator controlling our fucking missile defense systems?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it can do a variety of different tasks efficiently, better than any human can. That's when people are referring to general AI. That's what they generally are referring to, from what I've heard from the experts in the field that I'm listening to. But anyways, wait. To answer your original question, you were saying you said
Well,
what
it
did
seems
you say?
we
You
already
said,
have artificial
there's been no
autism,
big
so
breakthroughs.
you can take that to the bank.
Well, I guess that would depend how you define that. But I mean, what the things we're doing now, and we can do now with AI, is crazy leaps from what was it?
Sure, I'm sorry.
98
So
or
when I
97.
hear like the big alarmist talks, like when people like you talk about this, you make it seem like there's going to be like someday we're going to go from an AI that can do this to like a massive breakthrough. But it seems to me that that's not how progress in this field has worked. It's actually just been a lot of grueling work, very small incremental improvement, jump over jump, with things getting slightly better as time goes on. So there's
And if
never
they made
going
a
to be.
breakthrough, it was very little.
Yeah, there's
Well, I don't
never
think
going
it's
to be
gonna
like
happen overnight.
There's never going to be like the massive AI breakthrough where all of a sudden like something comes out of nowhere. We flip a switch and there's a huge AI thing. Like,
But
It's
well,
not the-
well, here's the thing, though. If we let this thing go unchecked, and if we let it become an arms race of people racing to be the first one to create this truly super intelligent general AI, which it very well could because there's so much incentive to do so, then that problem could definitely arise. Where obviously, look, you're right. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like it's just, oh, this guy figured out how to do it. He broke the code. But the problem is when you have a lot of groups working towards this, and we don't, have a way to pump the brakes and be like, whoa, before we fucking design this next super crazy intelligent thing. We should figure out the implications of what this really means.
Like they don't have the protocols set in place to stop.
Yeah, there's no
it.
protocols.
But
Exactly.
I
There
think
is no
that
protocols.
when we
in
get a
place.
little bit closer to it actually being a thing, maybe we will. But like when you're talking about something that is theorized to be 30 to 50 years out, which when somebody says something is 30 to 50 years out in tech, what it tells me is they have absolutely no idea when it's going to be there. Nobody knows what anything in tech is going to look
Could
like.
also be sooner.
Well, if it was sooner, they would say sooner, not 30 to 50 years out.
Yeah,
So like that's probably why nobody's like taking it very like for instance, like there's going to need to be like very big ethical discussions and repercussions and shit for genetically modifying super soldiers and shit. But we're probably really fucking far out from that shit as well, so we're not having those conversations either.
Why? That's because this particular conversation is something that pretty much trumps everything else. I mean,
really. What if you could genetically modify and create like super thinking, like everybody becomes like Captain America? That society would probably be
But
pretty.
that's fucking with your genetics then.
I mean, that's okay.
great.
Look, that's an important topic, obviously. But what I'm saying is, a super intelligent general AI is something that trumps everything else in terms of power and importance.
Well, if you've got a bunch of Captain Americas running around that can run covert ops missions and like blow up the
Yes.
AI's abilities and shit, I don't know, man. That might be better.
That's not the
Think
case.
real quick.
What if
Yeah.
what
I'll
about
make-
the super American or what about the super Captain American soldiers that can fuse bionic chips into their brains? They can so
Right.
they can merge
No.
with the general AI.
You're right. You have good shit to say. But what I'm saying is like, imagine different countries working on their own version of Captain America.
Okay, no, I
Everyone's gonna
understand
have
what you're
different
saying, and it's a race. What I'm saying is, what if somebody is, while all these countries are wasting time working on AI, somebody's working on a human that can plug the AI chip in, and they're going to be the ones that win the
Right,
race?
well, that's-
So now you're making a whole.
So you're
different
referring
computer,
to
a whole
that's
organic.
He's
that's
talking
actually
about
the-
Brainiac, basically, versus
That's the
you know,
Elon
Captain
Musk
America.
neural sleeve or whatever idea, which is that our best solution is to merge with the AI. Essentially, the problem with that is. You would think the problem with that is in order to develop that neural sleeve, I forget what he calls it, but in order to develop that, you would first, assuming you would first need to create the AI in order to put it onto your brain.
Yeah, but what
And-
these guys will do is they'll wait for other people to make the AI, and then they'll make the super people first.
but-
It'll be
yeah,
called
but
USB Type
again,
N.
dude.
It plugs into your.
Well, I know you're just joking.
So what
but
you're saying is you're waiting for them to get the dev kit, and then once they get the dev kit, they already have everything ready.
it doesn't work like that. though.
Exactly. So they'll be requesting
That's
the APIs and shit from them so that they can make their USB Type N specs so that as soon as their AI is released, they'll be able to plug it right in, and they'll be able to combine the AI with their Captain America genes, and it'll be all over.
You seem to think that this is something that it's going to progress linearly. We're all going to have an eye on it. We're going to be able to keep it safe, which is not necessarily the case.
No,
at
what I
all.
think is that this issue is so far out that talking about it
exactly.
is absurdly hypothetical.
That's
Yeah.
so. If that was the case, then why are people who are look? You might say, well, they're not technically okay. There are experts in the field who are saying these are things that are not that far off, that are really important, that
Okay,
they're very concerned.
I don't
about.
want to do this. I don't want to be like a jerk, but can you link me like a paper where somebody,
Yeah,
where
sure.
an expert in the
Sure,
field
yes,
is saying,
I can.
okay, I'm just curious. I just want to read in their words where they're saying that like this is going to happen soon, and so when I read this paper, it's not going to be like, hey guys, these are some things that you might want to think about because potentially very far down the road, these are going to be issues that we might run into. Right? It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like AI, general AI is going to be a big thing really soon, 5 years from now.
Yeah, Stuart Russell is a pretty prominent figure in the field. I'll find an article.
Okay,
suitable for
Stuart
that.
Russell, tennis. Oh, artificial intelligence. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Funk Master.
Nick Bostrom is another guy. He works with. He's not like a technician or something, but he works with and talks with. He's a very. He's in the field, I guess.
I posted in the politics the shittiest way to compare fear mongering to AI.
Nice.
And I don't think completely discrediting people like Elon Musk or Steve Wozniak and
Didn't Stephen Hawking also say that AI was
Yeah,
the biggest
Yeah,
threat
Stephen
to
AI
Hawking
is already
Like,
ready to take
I think
over.
just saying,
Maybe they are
because they're
just
not
biding time.
like fucking AI
Maybe they
like
lull you into a
developers,
false
they have
sense
no
of
idea what they're talking about.
security by
they
reading-
probably-
Elon Musk, Wozniak, Bill Gates, these guys have no background in AI development.
See, okay,
Why would I?
Yeah,
I don't
But
care
it's-
what their opinion.
I don't think
is.
it's worth-
It's an argument of appeal to authority for a lot of people. They see someone like Stephen Hawking saying AI is bad, we should stop it. So they're like, oh, he's an expert in one field. He must.
I don't
know
think
a
it's
lot
an
about this
appeal
field.
to authority to just say that
partially.
Well, no. If you're basing your entire opinion on it, sure.
The
but
definition of fallacious appeal to authority.
Well, no, I'm not saying.
I'm
saying if that's like your entire argument, sure. But if you're just saying, oh, well, this guy, just even saying like, oh, I think he has a valid point that maybe we should look into this. That's not necessarily fallacious, is it?
It's just adding to the fact that I'm not the only one thinking about this. Obviously, I didn't formulate these ideas or this argument. It's just
right.
Other people are concerned about it. That's all. People who are.
How do we know Stephen Hawking isn't the AI?
Oh, shit.
What if he's the lizard person that made the AI?
Oof.
You never know, man. What if that's the reason he never stands up? Because he's.
And then people. I don't know if you would give this argument, Destiny, but people would often say things like, "Well, you can just unplug it. You can just have the kill switch, and it's all good." But like that is just
that's not
that's relying.
Wait, I don't understand. Concept. Can you just give me the scenario? Like you're making it sound like the AI is going to magically take over. Why wouldn't it be done in a disconnected environment, like a LAN environment, like a single server? Like why do you think that all of a sudden we're just going to magically have an AI and then give it control of all the missiles, and then it's just going to flip a switch and take over?
Let me give you an example. All right, let me give you a perfect example. Okay, so let's say we do have this AI that's designed, like you said, in like a LAN area, right? Not connected to the internet. It's in a closed box. Okay, so the problem there is assuming this AI is super intelligent, is vastly intelligent than anyone else. That means it can think, it can do things in incredible scenarios, right? So for example, this is just me thinking with my simple human brain compared to it. But for example, it could fake having a fucking malfunctioning virus or something. It needs maintenance. During that time of people opening it up, doing some sort of maintenance, it could in some way fucking, alter its source code. It can do something that will have an unintended consequence of us doing something. Oh, we're just fixing it. It could stage something like that. It could do social engineering like up the fucking ass. Like, dude, this thing is literally going to be a god in terms of intelligence.
Okay, so even if I grant you all of that, which is a huge stretch, all you have to have are oh god, what do they call it in when you've got like a clearance, when you're in like not clean rooms, but there's like name what
sterile
air gap.
Air gap. Yeah, you have like air gapped places where you're not allowed to bring in or out USB port or USB drives or anything like that. You're not allowed to have internet or Wi-Fi or anything like that. Yeah, like air gap places. Like how is it gonna walk away?
Another scenario.
DeepMind went crazy. That's what people fear. They don't fear I don't think the white gap scenarios.
Hold on. There's one more scenario. There's endless scenarios, but let me give you another scenario. For example,
I think it's absurd, to be honest.
The fact that we're going to have this AI means we're using it for some purpose. And let's hypothetically say that purpose is to invent things, to fucking solve huge issues that we have. Why else would we have the AI? Well, in one of these solutions or one of these inventions, there could be some unintended side effect that we are not aware of that could be built into this that could somehow give the AI power that we're not that we don't want it to have. So for example, and it could be something like some fucking super complex 4D underwater chess shit. I don't know, but essentially we're dealing with a fucking god here. Like it could predict, okay, I invent
Wait a second. What if we make it so that the only people that are allowed to interact with the AI is better AI that we make, so that the stronger AI is always keeping the weaker AI in check?
And the better AI.
Okay. Damn, dude.
That just a problem to the other AI.
Okay, then you're obviously just creating more problems for
yourself.
yourself.
I want to propose something that probably kill the AI conversation in its tracks, right?
What?
If the AI is going to go forward, let's say if it does reach the internet and everything else like that, wouldn't encryption simply like encryption just basically kill it? What I mean by that is if you encrypt hard drives and everything else like that, 256, 512, 124 bits or what have you, that technology to encrypt is going to forever be faster or be more redundant than the AI is going to be.
What?
Well, he's saying
encryption, like when you encrypt something 256, right?
Wait, what is encrypting? How does that help us?
Wouldn't the AI be smart enough to break the encryption?
That's not how encryption works.
I don't know. Look,
no.
Basically, what I'm saying, right, is let's say it will be like a new type of procedure, something that Microsoft or Apple has to throw out to the operating systems. If basically you're going to encrypt every single little last computer, and you're going to need something to be able to unencrypt it to allow it to gain access to the internet, right? Some simple.
Well, but encryption is always a two-way street. You have to like the buddy that you're communicating with has to have the ability to unencrypt, right? So you would assume the AI would probably gain access to that too, no?
Look, let me give a perfect analogy. Okay, let me give the perfect analogy. Hold on. Let's explain it so concisely.
Oh my god.
Why are we the dominant species on this planet? We're not the most agile. We're one of the. If we're out there in the fucking compares to most predatory animals, we are fucking. You're gonna be ripped to shreds.
What if the planet created us to create AI?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. So, like apes, for example, chimpanzees. Okay, they're second place basically. They're incredibly strong. They can outmaneuver us. They can they have way more stamina, way more strength. They can crush us in half.
Wait, chimpanzees don't have more stamina than us? Whoa, chill out there, dog.
Chips do.
And they're dumb as fuck.
There's almost no animal that can outrun us.
Look, the point is this. The point is this. The only reasons humans have any dominion on this fucking earth is not anything to do with us being able to maneuver anyone or be the most athletic or the most powerful creatures because of our
listen, I think this is a bad analogy. Listen, humans are actually we're very physically capable. Dude, we got opposable thumbs. We can manipulate tools. Like we can live in a variety of environments. Like
but the reason that we're
very generalized.
The only reason that we dominate. Do you agree that the primary reason that we dominate the earth the way we do? That was an apex predator is due to our intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm. We started to spread before we had even discovered fire. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's not like.
But
but that's because we were social creatures.
We
were social creatures with the ability to make
dogs
tools.
are considered social creatures too.
Yeah, does social creature really mean we're intelligent?
We're social.
We have communication too.
Communication with the ability to make tools. That's all. The root of that is all intelligence. All of that's intelligence.
Well, everything is intelligence then. Right?
Okay, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Intelligence is the end-all, be-all when it comes to power, at least in this sense. And so, when someone says an argument like, dude, listen, man, even though there's this super intelligent thing that's like 1,000,000 times more intelligent than us, if we just keep it in this box, it can't do shit. That's like an argument.
That's so dumb, right?
That's like an argument. That's like an argument a gorilla would say when it's like, bro, we can just crush these humans though. It doesn't matter that they're so much smarter. We'll just we can just crush them with our fucking hands though. Like, what's the problem, bro?
That's a primal.
The way that conversation falls apart, the way that argument falls apart is that the AI simply has no physical presence, right? It doesn't have that physical ability. A gorilla can break out of its box. The AI, no matter what, it's going to be stuck in whatever server you throw it, whatever closet you throw it in.
That's what I was going to say.
Right? I understand what you're saying.
That's not even
access to the internet.
See, now I think the point it's trying to make is that whatever we can think of to try and protect ourselves from the AI.
It's already thought of it, dude. It's a fucking god.
Listen, this is the problem. This is what. And you keep saying you're not having this gap in your thinking, but I know you are. Okay. The problem is that if we reach an AI that is capable of doing all these destructive things that you think it's going to be capable of doing, we will have known about it very far in advance because we will be making incremental steps towards it.
Now, dude.
No, we don't because it's still we don't even know technically if we'll ever get there. We're really far away.
Wait. We do know we'll get there. It's a matter of time. Yes, we do. There's two possibilities. Either we wipe ourselves out, or there is some incremental progress with technology.
Are we doing probability memes right now? Given an infinite amount of time, infinite amount of monkeys.
Well, but the problem is we don't have an infinite amount of time or an infinite amount of resources.
Exactly. It's not that nebulous at all. It's way closer. Look.
Right now we're reaching theoretical density capacity on our chips until we reach
well, assuming we make Moore's law might not continue. Yes, it might not continue at the same rate, but if you assume any progress at all, we are headed there, and we're headed there quite soon. Given, I think.
Yeah, and when you say quite soon means that experts estimate 30 to 50 years off.
Yeah, that's an incredibly small amount of time. Again, we don't know how complicated
50
this
years
issue is to solve.
Is a small amount of time? Dude, 50 years ago, the internet didn't exist.
Destiny, if there was, if astronomers said that, or whatever the fuck, physicists, I don't know, I guess whoever's observing these astrophysicists, exactly. If they had said, hey, listen, we have 50 years until this fucking comet is going to hit, this asteroid is going to impact Earth. You know how much people scrambling to find a solution? Okay, what are we going to do? Let's invest in laser technology, whatever. Point is, when you say 50 years for something that's an impending doom to Earth, it's a lot more obvious and a lot more immediate what the threat is. When you say 50 years to general AI...
So we're dealing with climate change in the same urgency? But we can control the AI. We can choose to not build it.
Yeah.
Weren't people trying to do the same thing with anti-nuke technology?
We are going to build it though. It's just there's too much to gain from not from building it that people are going to build it.
You say that, but look at anti-nuke technologies. Our anti-nuke technologies are still the THAAD, which is pathetic. Like the accuracy of that
anti-nuke technology that you know of. You gotta remember, a lot of shit's classified. You don't know shit about.
Yeah, I suppose.
Wait. If we're going to use that argument, then the same thing can be applied to AI. We'd be a lot further along than we know. It could just all be
I'm fairly certain. Yeah, the businesses hold secrets, and they don't let you know exactly how far they are.
So
AI,
exactly.
the government,
we could be a lot closer than we think too. That's
a lot of the argument, though, is an issue of throughput. Even if you're talking about the perfect white box scenario and all that stuff. Oh, but there's a leak. Well, the likelihood of it being able to leak through that hole is very small because the throughput of that hole would be minimal.
Okay, but this AI is so
everybody
fucking
would need
smart.
like a freaking quantum computer in
the
their pocket.
AI is so smart that it actually infinitely compresses into JPEGs the code that it needs to replicate.
Look, you joke.
What if it acts like it's fine, but it actually is not? So you let it out and it fucks everything up.
Cortana's on every Windows phone. She's on every Windows phone. And Windows phone still failed, dog. Like, I don't understand.
Dude, Destiny, you joke, but the thing is, this thing really is going to be... Look, ants in your fucking house, all right, they're incredibly dumb compared to us, if you want to talk about the intelligence scale.
Dude, wait, stop. Wait, can you not? Because I don't think you know anything about any animal or anything having to do with biology. Ants are one of the most impressive creatures on the planet. They've taken over all 6 continents. Okay, don't use analogies. Talk about something specific.
No, I'm using an analogy because that's exactly relatable. Wait, my point is just to say, it is perfect. The point is just to say that our intelligence could be dwarfed to this machine in the same way that ants or any other insect can be dwarfed compared to us.
You would still see it coming. That's the argument.
Well, we're seeing it coming right now, but what are we doing?
There's no magical thing that would make it happen overnight.
I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, dude. I'm just saying once you pass that threshold, you reach a point of it's escaping you. You cannot control it past that point.
Yeah, but we're going to have so many steps up to that point. It's not going to... We're not going to...
There is actually a
What's funny
pretty
is it's
big risk that it will... I think there is actually a pretty big risk that it will happen way faster than you can see it coming. And the reason is that once you reach the level of a general intelligence, if you set it towards any task, one of the best things it can do to make itself better at that task is improve its own intelligence.
Yeah.
And the problem is the idea of a runaway intelligence, where if it
the singularity,
it can improve its intelligence even better, and that could theoretically happen quite fast, way faster than you can sort of see.
Okay, but by the time we're building AIs that are capable of self-improvement, we'll have worked so hard to get there that we will know that that's what we're creating. It's not like we're going to randomly be creating a thing that's learning fucking how to play the Atari, and then it's oh my god, but if I nuke Russia, I'm going to become infinitely more intelligent. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, those jumps...
We'll know...
Glink.
We'll know we're reaching the level of a general intelligence before that happens, but the level of a super intelligence, that could happen to
when we have like the level of... When we get the general intelligence, then we can start worrying about like the super intelligence.
It follows very quickly
how long it would take to solve the problem. You can't predict. It could take decades to even solve the issue of how do we make a safe AI.
It may not even be possible to make a true AI.
So like Destiny, wait, Destiny.
One comment before Destiny got here or anything was the concept of making a hard-coded, read-only piece of hardware, within the AI, basically. The problem with that is there's ways of getting around that. Like, look at Windows, a security key, all that crap. When you're installing Windows, you can actually, for XP at least, you can interrupt it midway through the process, swap out the CD with a fake CD, and completely bypass that. What? Like, this is the argument with some people who say, the hard-coded. Well, if the AI is smart enough, it will find a way to interrupt the processing before it gets to the hard-coded portion.
Wait, so because there was one error with a hard coding at one point in time, that means it's impossible to ever make a hard coded...
It's the whole argument of hacking. That's how hackers get past things. They tend to inject during the certain process. No, I'm not. I'm not an expert in hacking. I don't pretend to be. But that I know a lot of hacking that involves injection hacking.
His point is that there's loopholes, but
once again, it's not going to happen overnight. But this is one of the arguments of, well, even if we put the failsafe, they might figure out a way around them.
Okay, so Destiny,
I think it's a dumb argument, but still.
You're saying that, okay, we're going to know all the steps along the way. We're going to know to the point where we're about to develop this general AI, which, okay, yeah, I can agree with you there. But the problem is you're assuming that this development is going to happen in a way that doesn't conflict with other interests. So it's like, very well, given the fucking implications of how powerful this technology is, and how powerful it can make you, how rich it can make you, the first one to develop it's going to be a race to that. And the fact that it's going to be a race, meaning that safety precautions could easily be put to the side.
Listen, everything you're saying I don't disagree with, but the problem is that right now it's the 1600s, okay? And like people don't even have good guns yet, and you're talking about the threat of a nuclear deterrent. Like, and it's like so far away that it's like
that's a poor analogy.
It's not. It's a perfect analogy. People barely have functioning firearms, and you're talking about, well, the first one that gets nukes is going to win all the wars. Like, sure, that's true, but it's so far out that it's like.
At what point is look? AlphaGo is the AlphaGo AI or whatever. Obviously, it's a narrow AI, but Go is an incredibly complicated. I don't know much about it, but I know it's an incredibly complicated game. Like way more variables than chess, way more variables than even Jeopardy.
Okay, when AIs are doing something better than beating people at games, then maybe at that point it's worth.
Well, automation's only going to increase.
Automation is not a task of general AI.
AIs are making music, man. That sounds like
music is pretty easy to automate if you know the theory.
I mean, it just sounds like Transformers making sex. So,
originally, I think I was on your side, Glink, but I think you're actually pushing me to Destiny's side on this.
Why? I mean, it's
okay. Let me ask you this question: Why, if we have this technology in general, typically is kind of like an exponential growth kind of thing. There are certain things that are linear, but why, if we know this is a threat, why are we not developing this literally and doing it very slowly so that we make sure that we're not, creating?
I'm asking that. I want to. I mean, people like Elon Musk.
Well, you're assuming that that's what we're doing. So why? Asking you why you're the expert. So why are we doing it in an exponential fashion instead of a linear?
Wait, what do you mean? We don't choose the fashion in which technology develops. It just kind of. I mean, it's not like we determine the speed at which we're able to develop technology necessarily. Unless we choose to not do it, I guess.
Sure, but doesn't this seem like the one field in which you should be trying your best?
I know, like for example,
small increments of progress and
what? No, that's not how any field works ever. You're never gonna have a field where you retard progress. That's what.
Yeah.
That's how you get fired.
But I will say to your comment, because it is related. Forget about Elon Musk's comment. If you just want to forget all about his comments, he has dumped like $10 million into this thing called OpenAI, which attempts to kind of not slow it down, but it tries to make everything more open source, I guess, have open channels of communication with developers of AI so that it doesn't get out of hand and shit. But yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of efforts and a lot of talk about it for that very reason, because people do not want this to get away from us. They don't want it to be an arms race to something. And then look, there's no real way about this. I mean, the argument Destiny is proposing is one that's very common, but it's also just very misplaced, which is, oh, dude, this is so far off that it's not a fucking problem yet. And I'm sorry, I just don't think that, because again, like what San said, which is true, it's not even about how far off the general AI is, which is, again, closer than I think we are. Also, how fucking long is it going to take us to solve this problem? We have no fucking clue. If it takes 50 years to solve this, yes, if it takes 50 years to solve this problem, but 30 years to develop it, well, then we're fucked. We are fucked. Do you not see that as an issue?
Then what's the point of talking about it if we're fucked?
Because
get out of here, Sylvain. Don't say retarded shit. Fuck off.
I think one thing to bear in mind is that even if you think this is maybe you think there are ways to solve this already, or that it wouldn't necessarily take decades to solve. The thing you have to consider is this is an active field of research. This isn't just thought experiments that Stephen Hawkins and Elon Musk are doing. There are actual people this is their field, and they do research papers on this. There's a lot of work going into this, and any sort of naive solution you think to containing and making AI safe is already been thought about, and people have already discussed and made research papers about at length. Finding all the issues with it is not a solved problem. We don't know how long it's going to take.
It's not a solved problem, but it's also not a problem yet.
What? It's not a problem yet, but if we don't know how long it will take to solve...
Yeah, but how can we possibly solve a problem when we don't even know how it'll manifest yet?
But
That's
don't you
exactly
think it's
there
worth?
is.
But it's worth
We can
thinking
theorize about it in general terms.
Not really, because we don't even know what the tech will look like. Let's say, here's an example. Let's say that hypothetically we are able to develop these AIs, and they are able to be general and can take over the whole fucking world or whatever, right? What if they need an absurd amount of power? Right? Like, they need an entire nuclear power plant dedicated to it, right? If that was the case, then the way that we would combat it going out of control is going to be way different than if it could be portable and still potent, right? Like, that's just like one out of a million things I could think of off the top of my head that would dramatically change how we would approach it. But since this technology is so far off, we have no idea what it would look like. So theorizing problem solving is impossible.
There are ways to formulate the problem in a more general sense in which we can you can tackle the situation in a more theoretical sense, in general terms, talking about the general sort of principles of how an AI would work, just in terms of something which has like what's the term? A utility function and that can act in the world. And is very good at acting in the world because it's a super intelligence. You can state the parameters in sort of a mathematical sense, and I'm not an expert on this at all. It's just something I've watched YouTube videos about from people who are experts. But you can state it in a formalized way. And sure, when we actually get there, maybe it'll be easier because there'll be technological limits where it's a lot easier to solve. But we don't know that at the moment. But we can still think about it at the moment in general terms.
One thing Destiny brought up earlier was the whole nuke analogy, right? One point I'd like to make about that is say we do start planning for it, for the nukes. We don't even have handguns or anything like that yet, or it's pretty primitive. And we set up rules and regulations and all that stuff. What's the likelihood in, say, 200 years when you get to nukes that those same rules and regulations...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that like trying to...
are even going to apply.
Trying to troubleshoot...
Okay, but this is something that's more... It's not so nebulous as that.
But it is. The reason why you don't think it's nebulous is because you think we're like 5 years away from it, but you're not saying it. I know that's what you think. You think that we're literally like within a decade of being there.
Well, look, dude, but the fundamental problems that face us in regards to our situation are going to remain the same.
No, they're not. You don't know that. What? You can't possibly know that.
What do you mean? The well-being of humanity on this fucking
No,
Earth.
but the fundamental way that we would tackle this problem, you have no possible way of knowing it.
No, I'm not saying that.
We could all be like cyberhumans in 50 years and be way smarter than
because
AI.
this is like this AI discussion that we've had in chat a bunch of times. Like, it's the same. This is essentially the same argument that Luddites made, right? This is the same argument that all technological breakthroughs are showered
of course,
with, right?
Stanley
We don't
shows
understand
up
technology
somehow.
that we're coming up with, and it's going to fundamentally change our way of life, right? And it might do so at the cost of some amount of human suffering, right? But that doesn't mean that we're not going to do it.
It's kind of different though, because we've never dealt with technology that could potentially outsmart us.
But so what is your attachment to humanity if the AI is literally more
Stop, Stanley. It's a totally. At least wait till you get home and get out of the car before we have this conversation. That's a totally different conversation.
By the way, it's really interesting. Let me point out that exact sentiment is actually one that is shared amongst some researchers in the field, which is to say, some people are basically saying, well, we're going to be birthing this new superior species essentially, and therefore it's okay if they wipe us out because they're better than us. Anyways, that's a tangent anyways. But
that's like a whole other...
There's very simple, this boils down to very simple concepts that are not very as nebulous as Destiny is trying to make it out to be. For example, something like goal alignment is a very simple thing. If something's goals are not aligned with ours, then that has certain implications. And intelligence, another very simple, a fundamental concept. And so if something is far more intelligent than us, then naturally and its goals aren't aligned, for example, then naturally we could very well be obstacles in its goals and therefore be wiped out, for an example. So, I mean, just to say, look, obviously I don't know about like the fucking tech behind how it works. Nobody does, or else we would have invented it yet. But to say that we can't possibly conceive of the issues it faces.
No, but all of your problems are like really obvious common sense that don't even need to be said. Like, we need to make sure our goals are like, well, no fucking shit we do. Like,
right, that's the
we
point.
need to make
but
sure that the AI doesn't
simple...
want to kill us. Like, oh, okay, wow,
yes,
that's really...
But even those simple things are going to be hard to find solutions for, given all the implications of this. That's what I'm saying.
Sure, but not with OpenAI.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I don't know who's to say
like
that's
open
going to be
concept
successful.
because because that's already been stated like a bunch of times. Like open, what do they call open source? Like open,
Yes,
like
yeah, that's
open
what Elon
learning
Musk is
AI.
funding, open AI.
Right?
Yeah,
So
I'm aware.
Yeah, but
what I'm saying
it
is, who's to
grows
say that that's
within-
going to be the prevailing, way we do this? Everything
Nothing's
about
to say that it is. But self-learning AI, stuff that we don't have to program, is naturally probably going to be infinitely more powerful than that which we would create strictly, right? So OpenAI or self-learning artificial intelligence is probably going to be the way forward. The fact that it gathers all of its knowledge and all of its premises about how to function from humanity is probably inevitably going to preclude it from destroying us, right? Might not.
No, that's
it might
such a
not.
poor. What? I don't know why you're. Why would you? How would that be limiting it?
That got me worse. Like,
So you're saying because we invent
everything
it,
from us.
actually, it's not going to wipe us out because we invent it. Based on what, though? Based
We
on
don't
nothing?
know
You're
what it's
sort of
gonna
assuming that it would be like a human, which is kind of
Yes.
anthropomorphism.
No,
you can
no.
have
Like
an
humans.
AI which is
Kill
general
other
without
humans,
being anything like a human.
Why?
It could be completely unlike it. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of simple thing: intelligence and goal alignment. Like, just to say, you're kind of just saying this argument, like, oh, not an argument, but whatever. You're saying that because we invented, it's gonna want to protect
Stan.
us or something.
that's basically like a Frankenstein.
Well, Stan, one concept that was being talked about earlier was, say you do program it to think like a human. You think of it with human values. You try to program that into it, right? The problem is it doesn't have that same context, that same personal experiences. So the way that you might program it to perceive an action, it would make sense with the way you programmed it, but because it doesn't have that context, it doesn't see that same action the same way. It might, biologically, it might interact with it the same way, but because of the fact that there's not those contexts or those experiences, it will have a different conclusion.
Well, I think the bigger problem with that idea is that the idea of programming in human values itself is just...
It's incredibly hard.
We have no idea how to do that. How do you
Yeah.
program in human values into something?
See, that's where philosophy gets really deep, and that's a fucking monumental task that we could.
Because probably because a lot of those values are hardwired into us, right? They're not. These are not necessarily logical assumptions that we create for
Right.
ourselves in society, right?
Right.
A lot of those just come from our physical being.
Well, a lot of human values are not necessarily hardwired in. I mean, there's a lot of socialization that goes involved into human values. I mean, you're not naturally born to wake up and put on clothes every day. That's a socialization.
Well, but that's not necessarily
That's
true.
not
No,
what-
Stanley
that's
brings
not
up a
what
good
I'm
point.
saying.
No. But you were correct. You shouldn't abandon the point. The fact that we wear clothes is because we're embarrassed, and that shame can drive a certain value that we might not necessarily understand how it does. Right? That there are natural things that drive our values that we don't understand.
I'm talking about very, very, very basic. I mean, I'd say the evolutionary psychology, but everybody groans and goes, "That's what I mean." But that is true, right? It points to the idea that the structure of humanity, right, and even our very intrinsic morality is universal and probably biological, right? The fact that everybody throughout the world has some law about murder probably means that all of us. It suggests that all of us have not just moralistically, logically figured out that murder's bad, right? But that activity is intrinsic to us, not wanting to be killed.
It could just be
right?
that society's murder.
Holy shit! This conversation is so autistic. I don't think Glink is Glink. Or never mind. I don't want to say anything mean. I don't know. This Nocturne is pissing me off so much. Glink, it seems like you have this, okay? So this is how comfortable you feel about a topic, and this is how much you know about a topic. There's this mountain, it's called Mount Bullshit, where you learn just enough about a topic to where you feel really comfortable to talk about it, but then the more you know, you realize oh, okay, never mind, I actually, there's a lot of shit that is going on here that I don't necessarily understand, right? You learn the more complexity about a topic, you feel a little bit less comfortable talking about it, right? This is kind of like Dunning-Kruger a little bit. I feel like Glink lives here on so many topics, where he reads one paper on something, and he's like, oh my god, I definitely, this is a thing, and it's like, dude, what are you talking about? The idea that I don't know, never mind. Don't you think any problem with any AI? Listen, AI problems are fun to kind of talk about theoretically, but we're so far away from any of that it's I don't know, For me, it's a boring conversation. But I don't mean to say it like that. Like, I don't mean to say it's a boring, like, you should never talk about it. These kinds of problems are really fun to talk about, and it lets you explore a lot of really interesting concepts in philosophy and maybe even in computer science and encryption and other cool stuff. You want to talk about that. But don't, like Link's way of, like, prefacing this is, like, this is a fucking huge problem, and it's huge now, and it's going to be a big problem now, and we need to address this now. And it's like, dude, like, chill. Say that people like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking all feel like it's going to be a significant problem. I mean, it will be at some point in time. I haven't heard Stephen Hawking on it. But, like, I don't know, dude. Like, these are people whose background, like, does Hawking have a background in computer anything? Isn't he mainly physics, like astrophysics? And then same thing with Elon. Like, Elon doesn't have a huge background in AI or any of that, does he? Or at least not that I'm aware of. So, I mean, like, are these, like, problems to, like, think about for the future? Like, yeah, sure, but, like, he's a programmer? Yeah, okay, but, like, just being a programmer doesn't mean you know anything about AI. Right? You understand that, right? That being a programmer doesn't mean you know anything at all about AI. It's not like everybody that is a programmer can make an AI or does anything with AI, or, like, even though Glink was being hyperbolic, don't you think it has some credence to discuss? Yeah, it's a really fascinating discussion, I think. But the idea of self-driving cars, that's a way more relevant discussion. That's way, way, way closer to happening than, like, a general AI that can take over the world. And that's a public discussion that is getting almost no talk whatsoever. We're not really seriously considering that at all right now. Right? Like, really? Seriously? There's no policy or whatever in play. No, nobody is really considering self-driving cars. But even that is on, like, right now, maybe a 10-year horizon? Maybe? Maybe longer? 10 years out is a long time in tech, dude. Just think of where we were at in tech 10 years ago for anything. What about them? Self-driving automobiles are going to have massive implications for society. One of our largest industries in America, trucking, will go belly up in a night. Like, or overnight, like all taxi drivers, Uber, like it has huge implications for things in the United States. I was talking about how automation replacing jobs is actually a good thing because the better job, creative job will remain and the boring, dangerous job will die. Yeah, but the problem is that we're going to have to, like, fundamentally, like, when AI and shit starts taking over jobs or self-driving cars, automation, whatever jobs we're talking about, we're going to have to start asking some fundamental questions in society. There are going to be some uncomfortable things that we have to approach that we very much don't deal with right now, right? Like, even things that we deal with on stream, like the topic of, like, is IQ genetically, like, massively predetermined? Can everybody in society be a computer programmer, right? I stand on the side of I absolutely believe so, but that might not necessarily be true. Like, these are issues that we will have to grapple with and figure out resolute answers on, because that shit is going to be the difference between, do we need universal basic income for everybody immediately, or do we need to massively increase our education funding to make it so that people can never ever work blue collar jobs again, because all of these are going to be replaced by other people, right? Or by robots and AI or whatever, these are really, really, really important questions that need to be addressed. But we're not even talking about automated cars, which is something that's been experimented with for the past 10 years in the United States. When was the first self-driving car? It must have been in the 2000s.